Hi, this is Annie Manning with Paint the Moon, and I am going to take you through a tutorial video showing you a basic edit of this photo of my daughter here using Picture Perfect. And I am going to be using Picture Perfect for elements for this one. The same actions, almost identical actions, are found in the Picture Perfect for Photoshop as well. So if you are a Photoshop user, we also have this available for Photoshop, and I just happen to be covering the Photoshop Elements version today. Elements users have been waiting a long time for this set, and it is finally released, and I'm very excited about it. So I will just take you through a little edit here. The first thing I'm going to do with this image is correct the color. I almost always start with correcting color and exposure in images and then working from there. This one is a little bit too warm, and we're seeing a little bit of too much yellow and a little bit too much red, so I am going to use the Cool Me Down combo action, which takes out red and yellow at the same time, and run that, and it's probably going to be way too strong. Yeah, we don't want her to look ice blue, so we're going to take that down, and all of these actions, unless it's just a one layer action, will have an adjustment layer that you can adjust the opacity on the entire action, a whole group of layers. You can adjust it all at once by choosing this adjust all layer here, and we can just drag that down there, drag the opacity down. If you click here, you get what's called a scrubby or scrubber bar, and instead of having to click on this little slider bar, you can just click here and change your opacity that way. Just a little tiny shortcut that I use all the time and don't think about. So if you see me doing that instead of clicking on the arrow, that's why, because I'm just using that instead. So drag that down, 34%, looks pretty good. So we'll show you too warm and cooled down a little bit, looks much better. And I'm just going to right click and flatten. I'm going to flatten in between all of these just to keep things simple for everybody to follow along. And the next thing I am going to do is run the Perfect Portrait action, all-in-one Perfect Portrait. And this is an all-in-one image makeover action. It will leave you with a whole bunch of different layers, so you can pick and choose the adjustments you'd like for your particular image. And this is like running like 13 actions at once, so it may take a minute or two to complete everything, and will leave you with a bunch of layers to work with. So give it just a second there, and everything is also color coordinated, so you can kind of see at the end, it'll tell you, give you a message as to which colors are which adjustments. And the red layers there are going to be ones that you can turn off or on as you wish. And the blue layers are the blue layers are layers that you can use your brush on to brush in the effects if you want them to be there. And the yellow layer is your adjust all, so after you finish all your adjustments as you want them, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, we don't need to be quite that zoomed in, and this layer here will adjust all the layers at once after you finish tweaking it as you wish. So for this one here, I'm going to leave the boost contrast overall on, and I'm going to first start with the eye and detail sharpening. You want to make sure you have your white paint color selected here, and if it's not white, it should be white at the end of the action, but for some reason if you get it switched at any time, you can hit D and that will set your default colors. And you want to make sure you have your brush tool selected here, and then your layer mask selected, which is the black box. So click on that and make sure that is selected there. And then this is eye and detail sharpening. So we're going to just brush over her eyes really lightly and sharp. You might not be able to see much going on the little tiny video, but that'll sharpen up the eyes. We have two different eye color pop layers here. One is for light eyes and one is for dark eyes, because sometimes when you pop the darker colored eyes, it makes them look kind of freaky and lightens the darks too much. So we have two different ones here, and she has light colored eyes, and so I'm just going to pop it just a little bit. I'm just doing it on the side where the catch light is. I'm not doing it all over the eye, and I'm going to turn it down even because I don't like the alien eye look. I'm very careful about not doing that to my eyes in photos, and my daughters happen to have some unusual looking eyes and can take them to alien looks very quickly if I over sharpen or over pop them, so I tend not to do too much to their eyes. Maybe for an adult portrait that has a shaded eye or something, I might do a little bit more. This one I'm just going to leave very light just for the sake of demonstration. I will show you all the layers. I probably wouldn't use all of these layers on my daughter here, but I'm gonna take you through each of the different layers here, and going to use the darkened pupil and lash line and just run over her lashes there, and you can see it only affects the dark. Hopefully you can see this in the video anyway. It only affects the dark colors. So if you run it over, that side is a little bit more shaded, so it is gonna darken it a little bit more than the other side. I'm just gonna leave it. I don't think it needs it there. I actually don't think it needs it at all in her eyes, but I want to show you how it works. So it works really great on women's eyes, darkening up the lash line, just making the lashes look more dramatic, and you can also line the rims of the iris and the pupil if it's needed and make it look more dramatic. You can see before and after. And we have a teeth bleach and eye whitener. I really caution against whitening the whites of the eyes because I think more than any other eye adjustment, whitening the whites of the eyes can make them look very zombie-like very quickly. So unless you're positive of what you're doing, I would stay away from whitening the eyes, the whites of the eyes. And then we have a skin smoothing layer, and I'm just going to lightly run this over her skin here. And you might not be able to see. Oh, okay. See, now my mistake there is going to teach you something. I didn't think that was looking like it was doing anything here. You can see here I have my the actual layer selected and not the layer mask. So you see nothing was happening because I was actually painting white over my layer there instead of my layer mask. So I'm going to have to go back and undo all that. Okay, layer mask selected. Make sure you have your layer mask selected. See there, now we can pretend like I did that on purpose. So layer mask selected, white brush selected, and then you paint over the skin and avoid details. Do not paint over the eyes. Don't paint over, you know, this area here. I would not paint over that. Don't touch the nostrils. Don't touch the eyes. Don't touch any of the fine details of the face that's going to make it look too plasticky looking. And be gentle, especially on kids. Be gentle on everybody. We don't want plastic looking people out there, and we don't want your pictures to scream over processed or I was photoshopped. So there we go, skin smoothing very, and see there's my little, you can see here my little mistake I just made there when I painted white on this layer here. I am gonna do that over again. Okay, forgive me, sorry. You can see I didn't go through all of these steps before recording this, and I should have, but the kids are waiting for me to put them to sleep. They're playing with their dad. So, okay, here we go. All right, skin smooth. And then we have a make it crisp layer. And that just gives a little bit of added detail to the image. I'm going to zoom back out here. And we have a cool down and a warmth layer if you need to make some real quickie adjustments on the color. We have a make it darker, make it lighter layer. We have a soft pop layer. That one deepens the shadows, pops the midtones and bright highlights. And we have bring back shadows. Sometimes when you have the contrast and soft pop layers on, your shadows are going to become very dark and muddy and you lose detail, so that will bring those back. This is the bring back shadows. You see there, the shadows got way too dark, so that's in there for that purpose. And then, as I said before, we have an adjust all layer here, and this is the before, and these are all of the adjustments we just did. And you can go up and change the opacity on the entire set at once. And got there. So before and after. And I'm going to flatten this. And again, this probably doesn't need it that much, but I really want to show you guys this one. This is the get rid of the red blotches in the set. It's called in the PSE set. I actually have it named Banish Red Blotches because I couldn't fit everything on there, but the actual name of it is, if you look at the pop-up there, is See You Later Red Blotches. And this is wonderful for babies, newborns who have the overly red skin, and it selects just the red areas that you tell it to instead of draining red from the entire image. A lot of times I see people using actions that drain red from the entire image, and that's fine when you have a red cast over the entire image, but when you're trying to work on just red blotchiness on skin, you end up draining life from the whole image if you drain red from the whole picture. So this one is designed just to select the reds that you are trying to target, and it's going to pop up a replace color dialog here, and you are going to select the area of red that you want it to target. And this says, do not be alarmed at the black areas in your image. That means the action is working properly. The red areas that you're selecting should appear black. It can look kind of freaky while it's working, so don't be alarmed. And we will test this out. I am going to select, I was going to show you is I'm going to try to, she has a little bit of a red area on her cheek here. It was cold and we were running around outside, so I'm going to select that, and it's everywhere there's black is where it's going to be selected. I don't want all of those areas selected, and I will mask it off where I don't want it at the end too, but I'm going to bring my fuzziness count down here, I'm going to leave it at, I'm going to leave it there at 44 and click OK, and then it's going to work some more and make it look even scarier. Again, don't be alarmed at the black. Okay, now when this next dialog box comes up, you need to select the white eyedropper, it says. It will be underneath the options button. Click on the areas of red that you wish to tone down once again. Once the red areas are all white, click OK. So I'm selecting the white eyedropper like it told me. And again, I'm going to select this area on her cheek, and it's turned all white. And again, I can mask the other areas off, which I'll do, and click OK. And it has drained the red from those areas. Now I'm going to lower this down. It's a little bit too strong. And I am going to take my black brush here. We see we have black selected, and I am going to paint over some of those. Now see, this is another thing to watch out for. Make sure you have the right brush selected. You need the top one, brush tool, not the impressionistic brush. So I'm going to brush these areas back and put some of that color back in there here. You could also, let me undo that. You can also, with your layer mask selected, hit Command or Control I and invert this layer mask, and that hides everything on that mask. And then you can take your white paintbrush and paint on just the areas you want it to work on instead, if you want it to reverse the way that layer mask works. And then I hit X over here to switch the color from white back to black, and then painted back on the areas where I painted too much. So white reveals and black conceals with your layer mask, and you can switch back and forth, erasing or painting back as you wish. And so that looks pretty good. Flatten that. And I probably wouldn't do a whole lot more to this for correction wise. I am going to run Velvet Retro. It's one of my favorite artistic actions on this. And you can see it gives you a ton of different options. Now that's way too dramatic there, and it's at 100%, so we just drag that on down. You just use that adjust all layer at the bottom, and I probably drag it all the way down to 40. You can see before and after. And I might do one more thing to this here. I'm going to flatten that. There's also a flatten image action in the set if you just want to quickly double click on that to flatten your image. I am going to, these shadows over here are bugging me, how deep those are, and we were in a stairwell, so it was really dark, so I'm going to run brighten shadows on that. And this one's really dramatic, so I know that before I even start painting, I'm going to drop that down to 25%. And you can use your bracket keys to change the size of your brush, and you can watch it being changed right there. And I'm just going to use my right bracket key to go up and your left bracket key to go back down, right bracket key up. And I'm going to paint with white over this side of her face over here and lighten that all up. And that might be too much. Do too much of this and you're going to lose contrast and it's going to look kind of dull. So you don't want to do too much of that. But so there is before and after. And I would probably do a little bit more to this. I'd probably work on, she's still got a little bit of yellow going on. We had like 3 different light sources going on here, so kind of a funky color going on. Once again, this is all done with the Picture Perfect set. It's a Picture Perfect Portrait Mega Set. An awesome, awesome set that will take you from beginning to end in your edits with artistic finishes, retouching, corrections, everything that you can imagine for portrait photography. And it is now available for Photoshop and Elements, and you can find it at paintthemoon.net/blog, and you can find us on Facebook at Paint the Moon Photography on Facebook. And we have a little freebie going on there now, an exclusive freebie download of actions if you want to try us out. We also have freebie sets on our website. Again, it's paintthemoon.net/blog. And I will be also doing another edit in Elements using Picture Perfect on a newborn photo. For those of you who like newborn photography, I actually started this set designing it with newborn and baby photography in mind, and then it morphed into something much bigger. So this is a perfect set for kids, babies, newborns, and all other portrait photography. I am going to show you the last, the before and after. This is our after, and this is the before and after. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a beautiful day.